Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, or whatever ungodly hour you find yourself listening. We are the Bards Against Humanity, and we are here to strum your lute and absolutely wreck your ear holes. So prepare for a podcast that hits harder than a nat one in bed, because we're coming in your ears. Take it away, Leo.
Today we are finishing off the last two subclasses of the fighter. I'm here myself, Leo, and I'm also joined with Dan today.
As per usual.
As the usual. Next week, will we have someone else? Who knows?
As everyone knows in D&D, scheduling conflicts are a serious issue.
And no one's responding to my friend requests. Please.
It's easy, Leo. Just open the menu.
Little SAO abridged quote. I like it.
First one of the series.
First one of the series. People don't know. That's our Bible.
That is our Bible.
Not the real version. Not the real version. God, no. The abridged.
Hey, don't shit on the real version. I have actually gone and found a new appreciation for it, and my god, the seasons of Alicization are glorious.
Nah, fuck the real one. Parody all the way. Second episode's a bit weird, but it's just gold. Touched by Midas himself.
It's fun. And to just give a little bit of background context, our D&D group quotes it the entire time. It's a lot of fun.
Damn right we do. It's good. It's just funny. Sponsored by SAO Abridged. Just watch it.
Something with the entertainment. Welcome. Please, say hi.
Yeah. Say hi. Do more episodes. Be faster. Something.
Yeah, they've got a lot of projects. They can be.
Focus on the funny one. Anyway, we've already gotten distracted, as per usual. So, the Battlemaster. It itself, as a quick little overview, it itself hasn't changed too much. Nowhere near as radically changed as something like the champion fighter that we spoke about last week. But, obviously its main thing is its maneuvers, and the biggest that I can see, just kind of straight off the bat, is so many things have actually been removed. They wouldn't necessarily be the most popular ones, but they're the ones for weird encounters, so you do use them occasionally. They're ones chosen, unlike other ones that we'll talk about, but something like Brace. Brace has been removed, where normally when a creature you see moves into reach with a melee weapon you're wielding, you can spend your reaction to make an attack against that creature. And then if the attack hits, you add the superiority die to the weapon's damage roll. It's kind of like, very similarly having, it's close to kind of like a Polar Master vibe without needing that feat at all. You're able to use your opportunity and your reaction for more, because you can obviously sometimes go without turns without using your reaction. But now you can't anyway. So that's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, I can see it as being a bit of a shame, yeah.
Matched with something like Sentinel, and you've got a really nice, cheeky little unknown combo. Not anymore. Brace, it's been removed. Another removed one, which I can kind of understand why, it's Grappling Strike. Very much does what it says on the tin. When you hit a creature with a melee attack, you can expend one of your die and try to grapple the target as a bonus action. You add the superiority die to your strength athletics check, because obviously it's a contested one. I can understand why that's been removed. I never chose it, and I've done Battlemaster Fighter about 3 times, which, considering our campaigns are like years long, is wild. Like, I've never chosen it. It will not be missed.
You say years long, but like the longest campaign we had was Wildman. I think that was a year and a half.
They tend to be about a year. Killian's campaign, which he may join on next week. Oh, you never know. Killian's one was a year. We average about a year for a campaign, I feel. Maybe 9 months to a year if you want to be a dick about it.
Yeah, our campaigns gestate like a baby.
Yeah, pretty much. Realistically, it's 9 months of gameplay, but we have cancellations, so it ends up being a year. Exactly, yeah. That's we don't have the sessions of a year. We don't have 52 sessions. We do have about 9 months of sessions, but it's yeah. And then another one that's been removed is Quick Toss. Once again, not one I'd normally go for, but as a bonus action, you can spend 1 superiority die and make a ranged attack with a weapon that has the thrown property. You can draw this weapon as part of making the action, and if you hit, you add the superiority die to the weapon's damage. Once again, I wouldn't normally go down that route of a ranged weapon that's with the thrown prospect. It's definitely used for flavor, which I don't understand why they've gotten rid of it. It seems like more work to get rid of it than to just leave it.
Actually, I think getting rid of it is basically just like pressing the backspace. So I'd say it's not that much effort. But with the the ease of accessing things like javelins as like thrown weapons to carry a little bit of, it's a nice one, and especially if you're kind of facing enemies that may be a little bit just out of your range, or they could have a little bit of flight, which isn't too common in the early game. It's a nice option that could have kept going, but I can probably see with it not being selected as much that they'd be like, we're gonna leave this one a little at the wayside.
Yeah, so it's, in my opinion, I don't really understand. Like, it very rarely chosen. I might have chosen it, especially in later levels, just because I've got my favorite ones, which luckily they don't seem to have changed too much, which I appreciate. Especially like precision attack, they've reworded it for it to mean exactly what you thought it did in 2014, as far as I can see. Precision attack's been reworded to explicitly that its use is used after the roll, when its original wording is before or after. And you'd always choose after you've rolled it. So, cheers for that. Thanks for leaving that as it is. In case you don't know what the precision attack does, when you make a weapon attack roll against a creature, you expend one superiority die and you add that total to your roll. So especially, you can use this maneuver before. In 2014, it was before or after. Now it's just after making the original attack roll, but before the effects of the attack are applied. So you don't know whether or not you've hit or not. It's great for, especially like you don't do it for your first attack. You do it for like your third attack, where you're like, okay, I have a general idea what this AC is. If you're doing like if you've got the Great Weapon Master, you -5 and +10ing can be really handy. Really helps out with the math behind it. So it's technically reworked, but it's reworked with a cheeky wink from your secretary.
It is reworked, and you know what? They're saving on ink a little bit.
Yeah. Thank God they saved on that ink. So tiny change. Same with pushing attack. Luckily, a lot of these maneuvers, very much what it says on the tin is what it is. Can you guess what pushing attack is, Dan?
I would guess it means sweeping the feet out under your enemy and probably, pinning him to the ground.
It's so funny you use that phrasing, because there's a sweeping attack, which is a different maneuver.
Oh, I know. Don't worry.
Right, so pushing attack, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can roll another superiority die, and you push them in. Before, it was in any, they didn't give a specific direction. It just said 15 feet away from you. Now it's directly away from you.
Okay.
So it's pretty much the same thing. I don't think many DMs would have taken that you were able to push someone 15 feet into you.
So, like right behind you. That would have been hilarious.
Yeah, which you could have done in 2023, but not in 2024, not in our watch.
As Leo has mentioned before, rules as imagined in his book.
Yeah, no raw in my eyes.
Quick question, actually. Did you ever introduce what the Battlemaster was about, or did you just kind of delve straight into the maneuvers?
I just got excited about the maneuvers, I believe. I just got it's what the main class is all about.
Exactly.
Did I say you get it at level 3? No. Did I fuck?
Did you fuck?
Did I give any form of context to what I've been speaking about over the last couple minutes? Absolutely not.
It's okay. I'm here to save face.
Thanks, DM Dan.
So basically, the entire thing about the Battlemaster is they're supposed to be combat machines. So they're able to manipulate the battlefield how they see fit, using the things that we've been talking about over the past couple of minutes, maneuvers. So at level 3, when you select your subclass, and not your martial art type anymore, remember that, folks, you get what's known as combat superiority. So your general fighting experience shapes how you view the battlefield and your fighting techniques, and you learn a number of maneuvers as you go, based on your combat experience. So when you initially get it, you get to choose 3 maneuvers of your choice from that list. And later on, you get to choose a couple of more. So say you learn 2 extra ones when you reach fighter level 7, when you reach fighter level 10, and fighter level 15. And each time you learn some new maneuvers, you can replace one that you already know with another from the list. And as Leo had mentioned, these maneuvers are fueled by the subclass specific resource superiority dice. Superiority dice, sorry, not dies. Duh. You start off with 4, which are all d8s at base when you start off at level 3. And a dice is expended when you use it, and you regain all of them regain all of them once you finish a long rest. And once you reach fighter level 7, you have 5 dice to use in total. And when you've reached level 15, you get 6 in total. And if a maneuver requires a saving throw, the DC is equal to 8 plus your strength or dex, your choice, and your proficiency bonus. So depending on if you're playing a more dexterous fighter or kind of like a more strength heavy build, you're still going to have the same saving throw roughly as your spellcasters might for their whatchamacallit, spells. That's the word. That's the word.
You're the spells guy as well. The Eldritch Knight one is going to be difficult if you're struggling with spells already.
Just a word for you folks out there. I never claimed to be an expert on D&D. I'm doing my best here. Don't judge me too much.
God loves a trier.
God loves a trier and a DM. Let's go.
Unfortunately, there is one small change that there is for it. For superiority die, you actually regain them on a short rest as well.
Oh, excuse me, really?
Yeah.
No,
Battlemaster's cool.
Was that always the case?
Yeah, it's cool.
No, is it like from the beginning?
Yeah, no 2014.
It was the case in the beginning. Yeah, you regain all of them on a short or long rest. Excuse me, I missed that bit when I was making my notes.
Hey, do you know what? That's okay. That's okay. The Battlemaster is awesome because I love playing it. And you know what? I think I just got too excited to actually explain what it was. It's like if you ever ask a child to describe cake, they'll go, "It's delicious, it's yummy." Well, what flavor is it? It's yummy flavor. That's pretty much what I did to you. Sorry about that, folks.
We forgive you.
Oh. Going back to the maneuvers, as greatly described by Dan, that you have the option of getting at level 3. The Commander Strike also has a bit of a change where previously, what would be the case for the Commander Strike would be that when you take the attack action, you can forego one of your attacks and use a bonus action to direct one of your companions to strike. And when you do so, you choose a friendly creature who you see in here and expend 1 superiority die. The creature can immediately use its reaction to make 1 weapon attack, and can use the superiority die to add to the attack's damage roll. As per usual, in case you're not familiar with the Battlemaster, a lot of the superiority die is going to go towards the damage. But now, instead of it just takes 1 attack when you take the attack action. So hypothetically, as a fighter, you're going to get multiple attack actions very early on. Can I remember exactly which level? Can I fuck? I'm too deep into the Battlemaster. But so you can, if you think someone is someone has flanking, they have a very good weapon, you can, instead of it taking a bonus action as well, you just forgo one of the attack actions instead of losing out on your whole turn, which I think makes it way more attractive. It's one that I would personally always pick up, but I'd end up never using because I'm like, well, I'm better than all these smucks.
Just like his dice.
Action.
Just like his dice, Leo has a superiority complex.
No, pretty much. I'm like, why would I forego one of my attack actions? That's nonsense. Because it doesn't say that they can cast a spell.
No, it's they make one melee attack, which is nice.
Well, exactly. Well, it's nice for if I had another Battlemaster or a barbarian, maybe a monk. Maybe I'm not as well versed in the monk as potential. Do you know what I mean? I'm not, especially regarding the wording. I'm certain that they're more melee attack, if I'm not wrong.
They are, and it is interesting that you bring up the monk because the 2024 version of Commander Strike specifies that they can make a weapon or an unarmed strike. Like I was saying before, they're really including unarmed strikes in wording because previously none of them really specify that you could.
And a lot of people, a lot of DMs like it raw, don't you, Dan?
I like rules as written, but I also like rules as interpreted because it means it's more fun. And if something seems like it's going to be a lot more fun or hilarious, or it's going to turn into like this really cool moment, hell yeah, I'm going to allow it.
They're making it a lot easier for DMs instead of making that call where it's like an unarmed strike should really count. Like the whole thing with a weapon attack is that you're close. You cannot be closer than with your fist in their mouth. Do you know what I mean?
And if the most dangerous weapon you possess is your fist, it counts as a weapon.
Then we also have another change maneuver is evasive footwork. Originally, when you move, you can expend a superiority die, rolling the die, and add that rolled number to your AC until you stop moving. Right? For me, it can be a bit awkward. Anyway, sorry. The change that it is now it takes a bonus action for it to work rather than just moving. But it does allow you to disengage when you use it. So it is definitely for those, but still, once again, very much encouraging people to disengage from the fight and regroup, which is a trend we've seen with the fighter. So it's good to see that it's included with the Battlemaster as well.
Yeah, and for those that aren't familiar with what the disengage action is, if you've never played a rogue before or have never never read other actions that you can take in your combat, not on your combat, on your turn. Disengage just allows you to move away from the enemy without provoking an opportunity attack. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, and now, so super solid. Really appreciate how it continues on the line. Loving it. Then we have the fainting attack, which now requires a bonus action, because before this is a bit of a weird one. Because in the previous one, it already stated that it is used as a bonus action. So you can expend one superiority die and use a bonus action on your turn to faint. Choosing one creature within 5 feet of your target, you have advantage on your next attack roll against that creature this turn. If that attack hits, you add the superiority die to the attack damage roll as per usual. So they've highlighted that the change is now that it requires a bonus action. However, I can't decide. I don't know. I don't know if they're just if they've reworded it differently, for it to mean exactly the same thing. What do you think, Dan?
They have worded it differently, but it effectively does the same thing. Because before the wording was you can expend one superiority die and use a bonus action on your turn to faint. Not AINT, EINT, just for those who think that the fighter is just going to dramatically fall on the battlefield. Although for flavor, it could be funny. But
flavor.
The 2024 one, you said as it goes like as a bonus action, you can expend a superiority die to faint. So they've just shortened down the amount of text that's in there to again clarify and try to avoid further confusion. But there's not really that much that you could confuse with that. It just means it's less clunky word-wise. They just kind of condensed it down to say only what they need to.
I love how, in a way of trying to make it clearer, has confused. when comparing the two, you just end up very confused. But honestly,
it's helped me.
Go on.
it's just less. It's really? It's less words to read, which really helps with me. Not that I have dyslexia. I just have a dumb brain.
I don't know. It sounds like we have a dyslexic in the house.
If so, it's undiagnosed.
Not that there's anything wrong with dyslexia. Do you know the number one?
Dyslexia can affect both letters and numbers.
No. Well, right. If you go to a bougie doctor, it's technically a different thing for it to be numbers as well. If it's just numbers, it's something else. How weird is that? It's just all dyslexia. Surely, right?
Not that I'm going to claim to be an expert on the topic, so I won't really comment on it that much, but...
Oh no, my cousin got diagnosed with that instead of dyslexia. And it's like, well, his letters are fucked up too. Come on, lads, let's not discriminate.
Alright.
Bizarre. Sorry, little dyslexia knowledge. Little fun fact. Brought to you by... No, we're not. We're not.
No. We can insert sponsor jokes elsewhere, not here.
Yeah, no. See, look, I stopped myself.
You're learning.
I'm learning. Moving on. The next one that has been reworked is the lunging attack. Previously, when you make a weapon attack on your turn, you can spend one of the superiority die and increase your reach by 5 feet. If you hit, you add the superiority die to the attack damage, as per usual. Now, it's been a little bit reworked, where now, as a bonus action, it allows you to dash instead of giving you that extra 5 feet of movement. So quite a lot of mobility there, actually.
Yeah, what they really are doing is they're doing exactly what it says in the tin. Or what at least I've been thinking for a while is, for some subclasses, they didn't give you a whole lot of different ways to use your subclass specific resource. So what it seems to me that they've done here is they've taken some of what the rogue can do as a bonus action, but given it to the fighter for Battlemaster to use as their bonus action by using their class specific resource. But it does still allow you to put that superiority die towards the that attack's damage roll when you move 5 feet in a straight line immediately before hitting a melee attack as part of the attack action. You get to add the extra damage, but you also get to, as you were saying, move. So much movement available to the fighter.
So much movement. Do you need? Do you have legs? Move. Just move. Which is good to see. It's good to see because you'll see people kind of like running around the battlefield, and you're just there. Previously with 2014, you're there like, come on, I'm just gonna hit this and hope for the best. Please just die quickly. Don't be mean to me, even though I'm the one doing so much damage. But yeah, about to say, I forgot to add that little last part in about if you finish within 5 feet, you're able to add that to, you guessed it, the damage. Your superiority die to the damage output.
If you move at least 5 feet, not if you finish. That's for the end of the podcast.
Why did you whisper it so menacingly?
It wasn't intended. It wasn't intended to be menacing.
I feel both intimidated and turned on. What does that say about me? Moving on.
That's a conversation you have to have with your girlfriend. Apparently, Leo likes to be degraded.
Can we not move on, please? Why are you degrading me? Moving on. Finally. We're not even finally. We have parry. The parry maneuver. This has been slightly reworked. If you don't know what it is, when another creature damages you with a melee attack, you can use reaction, expend one superiority die to reduce the damage by the number you rolled, plus your dexterity modifier. Now, obviously, because fighters I would personally build them with more strength in mind. With parry, you can now choose between strength or dexterity, which I think I think more people will pick it up because your natural instinct is to go down strength instead of dexterity. I understand that some people do, but I feel like I can guarantee you that at least 75% would choose a strength heavy. So it's good to see that strength is being involved, especially considering dexterity was involved. Let strength be too.
It is pretty cool, and especially since they're now allowing for that strength, or at least in rules as written, allowing for strength to count. It can come up for those, like really flavorful moments that you see in like fantasy shows or movies where someone literally just reaches up and catches a weapon with a gauntleted hand. That's your parry. You can just catch the weapon flavorable. Now you're not holding onto the weapon or just raise your arm and catch it with your bracer kind of thing.
You just slap it away like a Karen does an iPhone that's filming her. Just slap it away.
Just block the blade and say, "I would like to speak to your manager."
A perfect parry if I've ever heard one. And the final maneuver that's had a change is the rally. So what the rally maneuver does before, on your turn, you can use a bonus action and expend one superiority die to bolster the resolve of your companions. When you do so, you choose a friendly creature that can hear or see you. That creature gains temporary hit points equal to the superiority die roll plus your charisma modifier, which sounds so bizarre as a fighter. So obviously they've made the change where the temporary hit points are now equal to the superiority die plus half your fighter level instead of charisma, which makes way more sense. I think personally I would pick up rally more now, because before you would ignore it because charisma is that stat that you really don't care for. You might bunce a little bit into it just so you're not so screwed on saving throws. That's it. Otherwise, I'm a fighter. I don't need to be charismatic. I don't even have all my teeth if I'm a good fighter.
Exactly, and that's how I somehow managed to keep banishing you in these campaigns.
Absolutely, it's a ball ache. It is super irritating. But luckily, that is all the maneuvers that have either been removed or have changed. There's some stuff that hasn't been touched, like disarming attack, distracting attack, sweeping attack that Dan mentioned earlier. That hasn't changed. Trip attack, all the ones that I would definitely recommend you choose as a Battlemaster. They've been untouched, which makes absolute sense. They're trying to push people into using a different variety, so why change the ones that people are already choosing? Delighted none of them have been nerfed since other maneuvers have been improved.
Exactly. Personally, my favorite maneuver on the list is bait and switch. It's so nice. So you can basically, when you're within 5 feet of a creature, spend a superiority die on your turn and switch places with the target. You have to spend 5 feet of your movement to do it, and your target cannot be incapacitated, and they must be willing, but as an ally, usually your party is just fucking willing to switch spaces with you. And you get to roll the superiority die, and until your next turn, the AC is added to your target.
Or yourself.
Or yourself, exactly, yeah. You or the other creature gains the bonus to the AC. So you can, if you got a real squishy, you can just move, bait and switch, make sure that they're not going to get hit this turn. Or at least try and make sure they're not going to get hit this turn.
It's an absolutely amazing maneuver, 100%. The only issue is that whole 5 feet. Because normally you're in the front grounds and your super squishy ones are way back. But if you've got like a rogue, or I'll say maybe not a barbarian, but if you've got a rogue and they've come in to stab, but they don't have the movement to get out, you can protect them in that sense. Then it becomes super awesome. But really, really awesome maneuver, very difficult to actually get it into play. Which is my only critique for bait and switch. I choose it every time, I never get the opportunity to use it.
Do you know what?
And I'm like, come on, let me use it just once.
I was about to say, do you know what? I'm going to prove to you the bait and switch is good, and I'm just going to give it to one of my enemies in the near future, and then I realized I'm the only person controlling my side of the battlefield, so I can make it really easy for bait and switch to be used.
Yeah. And you're going up against one enemy, and he's going to use bait and... You're going to go up against two enemies. One of them's going to be a wizard, and they're going to be in the back line, and one of them's going to be for... Oh. You're going to go up against two fighters.
He's going to, as a bonus action, down a potion of haste, he's going to summon woodland creature, and he's going to bait and switch the woodland creature.
Hey, so I think if you know what your other party's choosing, luckily at level 3 you should know what your party's up to and how they interact. Unfortunately for my party, we're never in those situations, but it's such a good maneuver. Anyway, moving on. At level 3, because we will be here for years. At level 3, you get Student of War, which the only change there before you were able to gain proficiency in an artisan's tool. Now it's 2. Isn't that so well?
Not just artisan's tools. You gain. You don't get proficiency in 2 artisan tools. You do gain your standard proficiency in 1 artisan tool, but you also can gain proficiency in 1 skill of your choice from the skills available to you at level 1. So do you know when you're selecting your skill proficiencies at level 1, you have a list you can select from? At level 3, you can select an additional one. So like you can gain proficiency in acrobatics or athletics, which you probably might have chosen depending on if your strength or dex build. But you get to choose an additional one of those. So you could, for instance, you could gain proficiency in intimidation if you felt like it. Gain proficiency in persuasion.
Absolutely.
I'm not exactly sure what ones off the top of my head that fighters gain proficiency in when they start off. But you can choose an additional one of those, which is always really nice.
Always super handy. And if you know your DM well enough, you're able to predict what he's going to do in case you're doing more. If you really want to go down a grappling route, you can choose acrobatics. Absolutely, completely up to you. Then we go to level 7, where we get Know Your Enemy. Previously, you would spend 1 minute observing or interacting with another creature outside of combat, and you learn information about its capabilities. the DM tells you the creature is equal, superior, or inferior in regard to two of the following characteristics that you can choose, which is strength, dexterity, constitution, armor class, current HP, total class levels, if any, and total fighter class levels, if any. Now, this has been reworked. Firstly, it's not a minute, it's a bonus action. So I think, well, I'll say with that alone, you'll actually use it, because you're never going to see an enemy for a whole minute and be like, whoa, stop everyone, stop. I want to really look at them really hard. Never happens. Now it's a bonus action. Fantastic. And instead of knowing their strength score, dexterity, you are now be able to see their strengths and weaknesses of a creature. You now know whether the creature has immunities, resistances, or vulnerabilities, and if the creature has any, you know exactly what they are.
Which is
you can also buff. Which is massive. It's just a big difference. Granted, I about to say, if like the current hit points of the previous one would be really cool, but it has to be out of combat, so there's no point. Nearly, if you get me, you're never doing so much of a slow burn where but seeing immediately immunities, resistances, vulnerabilities, huge for combat. And before, about to say, you can't use this feature for once per a long rest, but you can restore it by expending one superiority die, which is considered a free action, which is massive. So if you're going up against multiple enemies, and come level 7, you'll have, I believe, 6 superiority die? You can use one, regain that ability, and burn it again, which is huge. Fantastic changes to know your enemy.
It really makes you feel like a monster hunter, and gathering on the whole flavor of the class is you gain and know these maneuvers based on your previous experience in combat and war. So maybe like in a previous life, not in a previous life, but maybe like your earlier years, you were studying under like a world-renowned monster hunter, and you were helping them out in some way, shape, or form, and their knowledge rubbed off on you. So come level 7, that knowledge is more useful to you now, and you can kind of garner, oh shit, I do know this creature. Let's take a quick gawk, run through my memory. Oh yeah, shout out the spellcaster, it's weak to fire damage, they'll switch to fire spells, and it's great. There's never a combat encounter where knowing an immunity is a detriment, or where knowing a vulnerability is a detriment. Sorry.
And as a battle master, you kind of do have those bonus actions. Obviously, it depends on the feats that you've chosen. But you do have bonus action where, obviously as a barbarian, you would normally want to keep it free for a rage. But for a battle master, you kind of, it's so good to have that utility where you can feel like you can, even let's say it's like, oh, it has no immunities, resistance, or vulnerabilities, right? Especially earlier on, it may not. Maybe, but say come level 7, they should have something. It'll always be handy. I just don't see how this is not going to be used in every single battle encounter. Which Know Your Enemy in 2014, it was never used. I never used it. 0. I have played fighter for 6+ years. Never.
That's because I've never really ran infiltration-based encounters where you could have potentially gotten to see them, or ran engagements, say, where you were like chatting to them for a minute. I think there may be the only time where like a BBEG or anything was, standing around you long enough to warrant using Know Your Enemy was it the Shane Noren from Wildmount. Again, I keep referencing this campaign so much. That's because it's the first homebrew I did. The rest were all pre-written.
And he won't stop fucking talking about us. Boy, do we know it.
Hey, you enjoyed that campaign.
I did. No, I did. I absolutely, I could have used it then, but you used it so little, you just completely forget you have it. Because we do it once a week. So you've chosen it, let's say I'm going to make up numbers now, week 12. In week 30, you could have used it. I'm like, well, I've played like 7 days of D&D. because once a week, 4 hours a week, you're like, I've played days of D&D without even thinking about using it. But now you're gonna know your enemy. Fantastic. Moving on to level 10, unchanged. It's still your superiority die becomes a D10. Always lovely when that happens. But level 15 has changed. Relentless. So now, before it used to be once on each of your turns. Now it's once per turn, which means you can use your reaction. Anyway, once per turn, you can use 1d8 instead of spending a superiority die to complete one of the maneuvers. That means you have one free maneuver every turn, including enemy terms. So for options like parry, however, it's a bit unclear on whether or not it'll be up to the DM for functions outside of combat, for stuff like commanding presence or rally, like we spoke about earlier.
It's 100% you can use it out of combat. It's just if you're saying, I'm going to use the D8 and, I'm using my Relentless feature, then it's only ever going to benefit from the D8. But still, it's a humongous improvement on what it used to be, which was what you gained one
each
superiority die
turns.
back. Was it each of your turns? No, it was beginning of combat. Still, I mean, technically the kind of same thing. It was when you rolled initiative. If you didn't have any superiority die, you gain one back.
Yeah. So now they have changed Relentless to getting a free maneuver. That is wild, isn't it?
It's huge.
It's
such a big buff, because even though you might be short resting in between some combat encounters, if you're going into one with absolutely nothing, at least on your turn, you're just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm still going to trip him, but I'm going to use a D8 instead of a D10, which is
D10 at this stage, yeah.
Yeah, which is
that's huge.
It's not exactly much of a difference.
Now, granted, right? So their final kind of upgrade at level 18 is not a level 18 upgrade. Your superiority die becomes a D12. That's it at level 18. So I don't know whether or not they're trying to bougie up the level 15 to compensate, because normally, as we've seen with other subclasses, that level 18, like the champion, it now crits on an 18, 19, 20, which is massive. Are they just putting that massive buff at level 15? Because, but I say before, you just regain a superiority die, just one, when you roll for initiative, and have 0. So if you have 1, you don't get 2. You just stick with your 1. Now you're able to use a maneuver whenever, for free. And it's wild. It just for a D8, which is still a lot, especially when you're trying to do the other kind of like precision attack could still be handy if you're like, oh, I know I'm only 2 away. Oh, I've got this free maneuver. It means it gives you way more utility. I think surely they've done that. What do you think, Dan?
What I'm guessing is it probably stems from them understanding that not every very little campaigns actually go to level 20. Like usually what I've seen like DMs talking about is like a sweet spot for levels is like say anywhere from like level 10 to 12. Like Curse of Strahd only goes up to like level 10. I think like maybe like max a level 11 or 12, depending on if your DM has maybe added in some stuff or you do more. So I think it may be like a lot of the buffs coming to the slightly lower end of things, but like at level 15, where like the big power up seems to be coming for most of the fighter stuff, it does seem to be that way. But they still have like buffed the capstone abilities for classes to make it at least a bit more desirable to go the full way, because like as you're saying, they're kind of like they're buffing the abilities to encourage you to take the class the full way. Not that they're discouraging multi-class, but they're giving you the option to completely commit and decide. And I think that just seems to be the case, that they're just kind of rounding off the class at the end of their subclass abilities rather than trying to make it spike at the end, say.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what we see from the next class for the Eldritch Knight, but that's such a huge difference. I like the Battlemaster was already good. They've kind of made it even better, which I'm kind of shocked about. But absolutely delighted to see. Can't wait for the next campaign where I will build, potentially, unless the Eldritch Knight blows my mind, another Battlemaster fighter.
The Eldritch Knight is going to blow your mind,
baby.
because the Eldritch Knight is my favorite fighter class. No one's going to tell me otherwise.
Hit me with it.
You hate me. You hate on the Eldritch Knight. You're hating on me. I love this class.
Time to hate on the Eldritch Knight. Let's nitpick, motherfucker.
All right, so we're on to the Eldritch Knight. As I was saying before, it is my favorite fighter subclass, because I like magic-y things, and get the fuck out of here if you're telling me that the weapon bond that the Eldritch Knight has is basically the same as the Hexblade. I know, but this can attack 4 times potentially.
Ooh. Dan has a crush.
I like the Eldritch Knight, okay?
Does your wife know?
I have a fiance, soon to be wife.
Soon.
Soon to be wife. So basically what the Eldritch Knights are is they are a mix of magic and martial prowess. So they combine the attacks and the kind of the combat prowess of a fighter while mixing in a little bit of wizardry to it. So all of this, so they do get spell casting, and they're what's called a half caster. So they only get up to 4th level spells. You can pretty much call them a third caster, because they really only have 3rd level spell slots till about level 19. So really they're about a third class. It's a third caster. But most of what the spells that they learn is usually kind of like extra utility would be kind of recommended for Eldritch Knight. So, like spells like haste or shield, even silvery barbs is a really good one to pick up. Which currently on D&D Beyond, I don't actually own the content for silvery barbs. But Leo, if you're unfamiliar with silvery barbs, it is a busted level 1 spell. So as a reaction,
what does it do?
As a reaction, you can cause a creature that you can see within range to re-roll their d20. So it can be on attack rolls, it can be on saving throws, it can be on ability checks, and that can be your allies or the enemies. So if the enemy gets a crit, silvery barbs, make them re-roll, and then you can also pass on advantage to one of your teammates that you can see. So they gain advantage on the next d20 roll they make, be it an ability check, a saving throw, or an attack.
Sounds super handy, especially for not necessarily huge boss fights, because they'll just go legendary resistance. But burning a legendary resistance with a level 1 cantrip is wild.
Leo, it doesn't cause them to make a saving throw. They just have to re-roll the dice.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. But they if they rolled well the first time, granted you don't know, but if they passed it and you're like, I don't know, hey, that must have been pretty high. Obviously, it's later into the fight where you get a bit more information. Or you're friends with a Battlemaster fighter level 7. They get to know enemy weaknesses, everything. And you're like, actually, big bad enemy, I want you to reroll that again. They could potentially fail it, causing them to use a legendary resistance, which is huge. The potential usage is huge.
But that's not the bread and butter of the Eldritch Knight. That's just one of the many spells that they can choose from. Anything the wizard can learn, they can choose from.
Which wasn't always the case.
It actually was always the case. They can only ever learn wizard spells. 2014 or 2024.
I thought they could only choose in 2014. They could only choose from like 2 schools. Or am I wrong in that? It's not my class. It's not my class.
I think they could. They do. In 2014, they did focus on 2 of the 8 schools, which was abjuration and evocation. Yeah, so that is my bad. As you can see, my notes are all over the place.
That's okay. Hey, at least you described it. I just went straight into maneuvers.
Yeah, and then I started.
You know me, Dan. I love a little maneuver.
Oh, you do. Oh god. I lost my train of thought.
That's what I do to people, Dan. I confuse them.
You confuse the fuck out of me. Yeah, so what was always the case is once you reach 3rd level, so you can choose any 2 cantrips of your choice from the wizard spell list. So when you choose your subclass, this subclass, not just your subclass, you get 2 cantrips of your choice from the wizard spell list. So you could pick up something like Firebolt if you want a ranged option. You could pick up I believe wizards learn Booming Blade for some reason if they want to get extra up in it, and Booming Blade on a fighter, never a bad option, especially at lower levels. It's extra damage. So so they don't learn a terrible amount of spells, but at 3rd level, you gain access to 3 first-level spells of your choice from the wizard spell list.
Some really cool ones that you could choose are stuff like Burning Hands, Shield, which at level 3, obviously, considering you're a fighter, is huge for you.
Shield is nearly a must-take. Just on a reaction, basically gain the ability of parry. Straight 5 to your AC, no rolls required, is always a very good option. One other thing to note as well is, like the wizard, your intelligence score is what you're basing your spell save DCs on. So if you were going down the point buy route, you can just really bump your strength, bump your constitution, bump your intelligence, and just forget about the rest if you really want to. But then you're not really going to gain much benefit from saving throws of those ones, but you're damn well sure you're going to be good at intelligence saving throws.
Would you, even with the Eldritch Knight, would you prioritize Constitution over? But so you said Strength, Constitution, and Intelligence. Would you do it in that order?
Normally, I would, because like as a fighter, I would always prioritize, say, like Strength and Con or Dex and Con if you wanted to go for more kind of like zippity speedy kind of flavor build.
I see. Yes,
zippity speedy is what I'm sticking with. But to be honest, like whenever I've played Eldritch Knight, I've usually kind of taken spells that don't necessarily require a saving throw. But so some of the more utility spells, I would take some kind of like more utility spells, because the fighter's already great at attacking. So taking magic options that help bolster that and make you kind of like better at what you're already doing is always a good option. Like when you finally gain access to 3rd level spells at level 13 in 2024, you gain access to haste. So you can have that on yourself. And since as a fighter you're proficient in Constitution saving throws, you should hopefully be able to make the concentration checks necessary for keeping haste up. So that's usually the way I've done it. But I also realize that if you're going for like the standard array where you have the set number of points that you can put into each score, I would still do it in that order. I would still focus Strength or Dex, then Con, then Intelligence, and then whatever I feel like my character wants to be better at, like depending on how I want to flavor them. Like say maybe if I wanted to play highly intelligent, not exactly wise, I'll dump Wisdom. Or if I want to play with Wisdom comes Intelligence, then I'll try and keep Intelligence, Wisdom maybe a little bit similar. But usually depending on what I want them to be better at, I would still, as an Eldritch Knight, put something into Intelligence. Don't leave it in a negative. Try at least give it a +1. Just so that if you're going for saving throw base spells, at least they have a better shot of hitting something.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was just interesting. Interesting that you would still engage with Intelligence, even though you actually use it more as a self buff rather than an enemy deterrent where they'd have to take saving throws. You're try to avoid it as much as possible, which is, I think, a really nice way of thinking about building an Eldritch Knight.
Yeah.
Obviously, do your best to make sure that it's in the positive, but it's not a push, if that makes sense. Because I think you'll end up with, if you do a massive stat dump for either Strength or Dex and Constitution, you should end up with, I think, 1 at least as a positive. Which you're saying for an Eldritch Knight, if you do decide to, you can still do that if you want. You just have to choose Intelligence as you'll be as charismatic and as smart as a rock, but as wise as a rock. My apologies. You will be as smart as a semi-intelligent person. Interesting. What else is there for the Eldritch Knight?
So, like we were saying for how it used to be in 2024, or 2014, sorry, the amount of times I'm going to keep saying one or the other instead of what I'm supposed to say is going to be crazy throughout the rest of the series.
I'm excited for it.
But as we were saying before, with the initial introduction of the Eldritch Knight, they could only choose Abjuration or Evocation. But now with their prepared spellcasting, choose 3 level 1 spells at base, from the wizard spell list. 2 of those must be from Abjuration and Evocation. After that, go nuts. Choose whatever you want.
Interesting.
Yeah, so as we were saying, like the number of spells that you can know increases as your fighter level increases. There is a table provided for that, and for the sake of just time, take a look at the table yourself. The max number of spells that you can have known is 13 at level 20. So you start off with 3, and it'll gradually start to increase every couple of levels up till then. So one of the bread and butter features of the Eldritch Knight is their level 3 feature, Warbond. So I don't think it has changed all that much. So basically what you do is you start a ritual that creates a magic bond with you and one weapon. So you perform that over the course of the hour, which can be done during a short rest, because a short rest is typically an hour. The weapon cannot leave your reach for the ritual. It has to be within reach. And once it's complete, you forge the bond. And once you have bonded with the weapon, you can't be disarmed unless you're incapacitated. And if it is on the same plane of existence as you, you can summon it as a bonus action, causing it to immediately teleport to your hand. So imagine yourself in say like you've been captured by the enemy and stripped of your gear. The Eldritch Knight is never going to be away from their weapon. They have that bond. It's the same kind of same goes for the Hexblade, which we'll talk about in the Warlocks thing. The War Bond just basically means that you're always going to have access to your weapon at any point in time.
From what I've seen, there are no changes to that. It's kind of just a bit more worded better than the 2014. Very similarly to what we had in the Battlemaster, where even though it's worded quite differently, but they actually both mean the same thing. When I was building, whenever I look to build a fighter, I always look at Warbond and go, it's great for flavor. And if you know what kind of journey you're going to go on, you're like, oh, this could be so cool. I can't wait to whip out my Warbond. Which sounds far more sensual than originally intended. But I look at that and I'm like, for optimization, that is not handy at all. But you're like, oh, I love it. It's fantastic. It's amazing. But this Eldritch Knight adds even more, yes.
Because while I do like building optimized characters, I would first and foremost try to think of some flavor. Like Warbond for me is awesome, because just the ability to be able to just bring your weapon back to your hand at any point in time. It, like, for the cracks, like say for instance you bond with a thrown weapon. Throw the weapon as one of your attacks, bonus action comes right back to hand. You don't got to worry about picking that back up again.
Like, that's cool. That's handy. Which
is cool. But the other like the final part of Warbond though is you can have 2 bonded weapons at a time, but you can only summon 1 per bonus action. And if you attempt to bond a third, you have to break the bond with one of the other 2.
That's fair. No point in being too greedy.
No, but it does open up some nice options of like a dual wielding fighter. It says take advantage of 2-weapon fighting as well. For example, you can draw or stow your weapon as your free action, and then as your bonus action summon the other one out. And that way you gain your benefit from one of your fighting styles, I believe, which you can benefit from dual wielding weapons, which is always nice. I think there's if you're wielding 2 weapons, you have a +1 to AC, I believe, if it's 2 light weapons or something.
Oh, why would you call me out? You should just edit this part out. Shouldn't ask that question.
I'm calling you out.
Calling me out, man.
Fighter's your bread and butter, my friend.
It is dual wielding. I don't think it adds anything to your AC. I think you can just use it as a bonus action and attack with it.
Okay, fair enough. That's my bad.
If I'm being put on the spot.
Anyway, but it does allow you to have 2 of those weapons, and it doesn't seem to me that there's any restriction on the type of weapon. So for instance, if you're a dex-based fighter, your initial bond could be with, say, like a rapier, because you're kind of like fast, you're fluid, and a finesse weapon can take your dex over your strength if you'd like. And for the second weapon, you could decide, it's like, oh shit, we've got a lot of flying enemies, I'm going to bond to a bow. And especially that also allows you, with the new weapon masteries, to be able to take masteries in, say, like a longbow and a rapier, which allows you to take the masteries associated with either.
I was thinking this, right? Could you go into like an archery battle stance and bond yourself with like a magical arrow with that, and as long as it doesn't break, you'd be able to bonus action recall it.
You could, but you can't, unfortunately, because an arrow counts as ammunition, not a weapon.
Oh.
So you'd be able to bond with a magical bow, and then you'd have to carry around that magical ammunition.
For a second, Dan, I got really excited for the Eldritch Knight. I'll go back down again. My apologies. What else do they have? What else?
I'm trying to make you fall in love with this class, okay? So 7th level, they get War Magic. So what it used to be in 2014 is a 7th level. When you use your action to cast a cantrip, you can make one weapon attack as a bonus action. So now, with War Magic, it's been changed to whenever you make the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of those attacks with a casting of one of your wizard cantrips that has the casting time of an action. So instead of having to give up your whole action to cast a cantrip and then a bonus action to attack, you can instead substitute one of your 2 attacks you have at this point to use a cantrip, which is
way handier.
Nice. Which is so handy, especially if you have Booming Blades.
Yeah.
So you can go take the attack action, make your attack as your second, sacrifice your second attack for a spell, which would be your cantrip. That is your Booming Blade. Make the attack, and at 5th level, you're going to do an extra D8 of damage initially, and if that enemy decides to move willingly, is the key word there, they'll take an extra D8 of thunder damage, which is always nice, and it's good.
Nice. And I think it really works well with what they may have at level 10, the Eldritch Strike. What is it again, Dan?
All right, so they have just changed the wording just a little bit. So at 10th level, you learn how to make your weapon strikes undercut your creature's ability to withstand your spells. So when you hit a creature with an attack using a weapon, that creature has disadvantage on the next saving throw it makes against a spell you cast before the end of your next turn. So for the likes of, if you wanted to substitute one of your attacks for, say, Frostbite is one of the cantrips a wizard can learn. And that forces them to make a saving throw or take X amount of cold damage. At base, it takes a d6 of cold damage. At level 5, that upgrades to 2d6. And if it fails to save, it takes the damage and has disadvantage on the next weapon attack it makes before the end of its next turn.
So it's really just massively improved synergy. Like the level 10 Eldritch Strike, even though that's unchanged, because they've changed the level 7 War Magic, it looks super appealing now. Like the synergy between the two and the utility is mad.
Exactly. And the next ability they get is Arcane Charge at level 15, which is also quite nice. Unchanged as well. Once you use your action surge, you can teleport to an unoccupied space within 30 feet, and you can teleport before or after the additional action.
What? Do you know what? So that sounds once again another way of disengaging from your combat.
Exactly.
Granted,
but that has been always present since its initial introduction.
Yeah, 2024.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you think they haven't added one? Because I actually kind of noticed that within we talked about the Eldritch Knight. I kind of noticed that they didn't have that disengage, which they seem to have for all of the other fighters. Do you think because they knew they had it at level 15, they were like, okay, cool, we can actually keep this as it is? Probably.
But I think also because there is... because they have access to spells as a bonus action that can already let them teleport. Like, for example, if they take Misty Step, they have a 30-foot range teleport as a bonus action already by using a 2nd level spell slot. So again, using a resource they already have.
Yeah. Okay.
So it didn't necessarily need more movement because they were always already able to move around quite well. And especially for a class like this, you might be taking... Like, mobile is never a bad feat to take. And especially for fighters as well, if you're already up close and personal, taking mobile just allows you to, once you've made your attack, move without provoking opportunity attacks, which is great.
And a little piece that I know myself, I used to always forget about. I'm like, cool, double movement speed, let's do it. But no, it'll also... I think it's plus 30 rather than double.
Mobile is just plus 10.
Oh, is it just plus 10?
Plus 10, yeah. You're thinking of Dash or the epic boon that gives you double your movement speed.
That is so true. That is so true. My apologies. I'm just chatting shit. I'm falling in love with the Eldritch Knight, okay?
I love it.
Falling in love makes you stupid.
It does not. The 18th level improved War Magic feature has been buffed. So good. So instead, what it used to be was when you cast a spell as an action, you can make one weapon attack as a bonus action. So just a slight improvement on level 7 War Magic? A slight improvement when you cast a spell of any level, you can make one weapon attack as a bonus action. But instead, what they have done here for improved War Magic is when you take the attack action, you can replace 2 of those attacks with casting one of your level 1 or 2 wizard spells with a casting time of an action, which is really cool. And completely eating my words when I was talking about this earlier, I thought it was one of your spells as one of your wizard spells as a casting time of an action. No, so you can't cast haste in the middle of your attacks.
About to say, theoretically you could action surge, but not the way that you were thinking of originally. It is exactly what it says on the tin. It is an improved War Magic. Instead of it being a cantrip, it's a level 1 or 2 spell, which can be huge depending on the situation you're in. I think for me, when it comes to the Eldritch Knight, it is a great... It is a good subclass, right? The only issue that I truly have is that it's obviously not granted. What I will say, come level 10, it is a big boy class, right? Really difficult. And then you've got Arcane Charge at level 15 with a free teleport hurts no one. But at level 18, you're able to use your level 1 or 2 wizard spell to replace 2 of your attacks. Soon at this age you'll have at least 3, potentially 4, or later on you'll have 4. And I just think at level 18, like the Battlemaster, for example, at level 18 it can do an extra d8 of damage for free. Obviously depends on the maneuver you want to do. And for this one, it's like when you're at level 18, what will a level 2 wizard spell truly do? That will be a massive game changer, Yes, it'll be helpful for blindness and deafness, but I'll say the best thing that'll do potentially is burn a legendary resistance. But the people that you know what I mean? I just think it's this is the problem I always come to with it. Granted, come level 10, I'm now sold on giving it a try. The revised War Magic has really elevated the Eldritch Knight, in my opinion. It's just once we get to level 18, it's like your level 2 wizard spell that you might be able to upcast. That you'll be able to upcast at that point to level 3. You have wizards who are actually casting level 6 spells at that stage, and
they're casting 9th at that level.
They're casting 9th, and that's what the DM has prepared for. So I just. It sounds super cool written down. I just think in utility, I've been sold with the bait and switch that we mentioned beforehand. Written down, it looks whopper, but in utility, it's actually so difficult to pull off. And I think that the Eldritch Knight, for me, come level 18, is the same. Come later levels, up to level 10, I think it's baller. But after that, if you're doing a super long campaign, I'd be tough to be sold on it.
That's so fair. The one thing that just really, really stands out to me is and I guess I get it. I'm glazing this class because I love it, and it's been really hard to be impartial. So I completely get where you're coming from. There is better fighter subclasses, but this one holds the special place in my heart. And especially with War Magic later on at level 8, at level 17 even, before you get improved War Magic, your cantrips are already upgraded to their 4 damage dice or whatever, to their maximum. So one of your attacks on your turn can be replaced with 4d10 of fire damage with a Firebolt, or it can be replaced with 4d6 for frostbite, or 4d8 for Ray of Frost.
And you're absolutely right. And you're absolutely right. But that's because of the effects of level 10 and level 7. Do you know what I mean? That's where I understand you're really giving it the Pac-Man treatment, but I can't. I'm only coddling the balls of this guy. I'm sorry.
That is so fair. It's kind of with the slight improvements to to Eldritch Knight, it does make me want to have some either character or NPC or enemy in the campaign that does have Eldritch Knight at their base. And we'll see how that turns out, because it would be that's my version of getting to play them.
How about this? Do it really later on in the session, and then make it so like we're level 18, he can be level 18 too, and we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. He'll have a whole army behind him. Throw a Battlemaster in there, maybe a Cyanide champion for the crack.
And I can guarantee you the champion will be even more mean for some reason, because the DM's rolls are always 18 at least. Unfortunately for a champion, that means it crits.
15% chance.
But no, they've definitely made changes for me to actually want to give it a try. Especially for campaigns, like you said earlier today, that most campaigns tend to be level 10 to 12. And I think the Eldritch Knight really flourishes around that level mark. So yeah, definitely willing to give it a bit of time.
And funnily enough, we've been a lot more focused this episode than the last two. We haven't gone on as many tangents. I suppose that's a win. We tried.
That's what we're taking it. We're taking it. I didn't make one Love Honey reference. I'm proud. Sponsored by Love Honey.
And their new range of toys called the Eldritch Strike.
Right. In what order is that? If you're not ordering your dildos alphabetically, what's the point?
It is all wet and wonderful, though, Love Honey, isn't it, though?
For a happier you.
The official sponsors of... I think at this point, if we just keep talking about Love Honey as a sponsor, we'll just eventually just give them so much free promotion. Not that you know.
I'm hoping that they shoot up in dragon dildos and dice lube. I don't know how dice lube will be a thing, but I'm certain Love Honey will make it a thing. There's something wrong with my dildo. It's got the shaft, it's got the balls, but where are the dragons? You know?
I feel like polyhedral shapes won't exactly make for great, pleasurable toys, Leo.
Polyhedral? What? The fuck is that?
Polyhedral. Hold on.
Don't just repeat it again, being like, "Oh, you idiot! You don't know what a polyhedral shape is." Oh, what a fucking idiot!
If you want the official definition,
I didn't realize we were playing Scrabble. We're talking about dildos.
Oh man! So a polyhedron is a three-dimensional solid made up of flat polygonal faces with edges meeting in vertices. So dice is a polyhedron.
I'm shocked, right? You have a fiance, but just that moment there, I would be shocked if you got laid. Just that small snippet. That small snippet.
What, of me nerding out?
To shapes, yeah.
Yeah, be jealous, bro. Be jealous.
I envy you not.
And with that, I suppose we can call an end to this episode of the Bards Against Humanity.
And that, dear listeners, brings us to the end of another session where the dice are hard, the jokes are harder, and our standards are at an all-time low. If you enjoyed this chaos, be sure to follow and subscribe. If not, at least we finished, even if you didn't. Goodbye.
Goodbye.